Hello. In this tutorial, I want to talk about how to use Jupyter Lab. So we should probably start with answering the question, what is Jupyter Lab? Well, Jupyter Lab is the next generation follow-on to Jupyter Notebooks. Well, what are Jupyter Notebooks? Jupyter Notebooks are pretty great. They are interactive course notes that allow me to present Python content to you with interactive code cells that actually run inside the notebook. So I can develop a Python lesson in a Jupyter Notebook with coding examples that you can run on your own right inside the notebook to actually see the results and watch the code run. They're pretty fantastic. This video is not a detailed tutorial on how to use Jupyter Lab. The notebooks that were installed as part of your VM construction actually contain a walkthrough of starting from how to use Jupyter Lab all the way through programming topics in Python. So we'll save that for the Jupyter Notebooks. The purpose of this video is just to show you how to start the software and be able to get into it. So let's begin. So the first thing you want to do is to start your virtual machine. So here I am inside my virtual machine, and we're going to want to open up a terminal window. So if I come over here to my favorites, you can see I've got terminal. Click once on it, opens up my terminal program. Let me adjust this view a little bit. Here we go. The command to run Jupyter Lab is Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Lab. 2 words, space in between, all lowercase. It is a bit of a play on words. Jupyter is not spelled like the planet. It's spelled with P-Y. So get the joke there. Jupyter, P-Y is Python, Jupyter Lab. Once you do that, hit enter. You'll then see what looks like some gibberish on the screen. That is the Jupyter Lab server starting up in the background to present content to you. It will open your default browser. You see a little animated splash screen, and now it gets you into the Jupyter Notebooks. Let me do a little navigation demonstration for you. I've used Jupyter Lab on this computer a couple of times, so it remembers where I was. If you see these files, these are the Jupyter Notebooks. These files ending in IPYNB, those are notebook files. If you see those, then that's the directory you want to be in. But chances are pretty good that if you're first time using Jupyter Notebooks, you're going to see this. And what I show here is my home directory. You'll see a directory called Desktop, one called Documents, and so forth. The one you want to navigate to is Notebooks. So if I see the Notebooks down here, if I double click on that, it will then take me into another directory with 3 subdirectories. Top one is called Content. Double click on that. Now I'm in my Jupyter Notebooks. So this is what you want to see, these list of IPYNB files. If you click on the very first one, double click on it, it opens up inside Jupyter Lab, inside the browser, and you notice that there's a bit of a layered version of tabs going on here. The browser itself has tabs across the top. So I could click on that, open up a new tab, and go to a website just like any other browser. If I go back to the first tab, I'm back in Jupyter Lab. But within Jupyter Lab, there is another tabbed environment. And you can see there's a notebook launcher here, and then there's the notebooks that I have open. So there's the table of contents, there's the introductory notebook, and you can see them sitting across the top of the screen here as tabs. So there's the launcher, there's the table of contents, and there's the introduction. So the very first file, the table of contents, shows you all the topics that are covered inside the Jupyter Notebooks that you have. We'll go jump around to these a little bit in the course. Of course, you can explore those on your own the way you see fit. If you go to the next one down, which says Intro 00, and it'll bring it up in your Jupyter Lab. You'll notice that it says Welcome to Jupyter Notebooks, and this is your quick start guide to learning how to use Jupyter Lab. So again, this video is not a detailed Jupyter Lab tutorial. It's just allowing you to start the software so you can get in and use it. So that's it. There's a lot to explore in Jupyter Notebooks, and you can do that on your own. But to get into it, you open up a terminal window, you type Jupyter Lab, Jupyter space LAB, and away you go. Hope this was helpful. Throughout the video, I used the terms Jupyter Lab and Jupyter Notebook interchangeably, and that's pretty common. As I said, the Jupyter Lab software is sort of the next iteration of the Jupyter infrastructure. It all started with Jupyter Notebooks, so if you hear me either in the video or in class use the term Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebooks interchangeably, it's okay. They really do mean the same thing. Hope this was helpful to you, and we will talk to you soon.